kiss for you.
All right, I am recording this on the iPad through the iPad recording system and microphone, so I can test that, as well as showcase you some issues I've noticed with iPadOS in terms of doing simple things I want to do. So I believe this should show up for you, but I have some expressions here I made for a character I'm working on, and as you can see, they're in the file. Now these are the cropped versions. But typically what I would want to do in this case is crop them after they've been exported from Procreate so that they're, in the format, you need like a kind of square format. So like this one's a good example, right? Where, as you can see, the outline of it is quite long. So you'd want to crop that, right? So you'd want to like crop it so that it's more square. So that is what I have done for most of these in files here, is I've cropped them in preview. Because I was not able to do that in Affinity Photo, which I'll talk about in a sec. So I've cropped them here, and now I just want to be able to get rid of the white background, right? Should be pretty simple. Let's go back here. Let's hit continue. So I'm opening Affinity Photo, and the first thing you'll notice, or as I try to do, actually I can probably demo this. Affinity Photo. There's a couple things I want to go over here, but basically, right, you're going to try and open document, and the first thing you'll notice when you try and open a document is you can only open one at a time. So, typically there'd be a little icon, little three dots here. You'd click on it and it would say select, and you can select all of them. I do not see that option. I'm going to hold on this one. There's no select there. There's no way to like drag your finger over each one and do anything like that. Nope. You just have to select it from here, and then it opens the document, right? So that's the first issue. The second problem, as you can see from the preview to now, is there is a bug that causes HDR here to enable itself for whatever reason and bug out, right? So that's not good. That's been a bug that's been there for 2 years, and there's not really a way to fix that. So already I'm trying to do a simple thing. Not only can you not open multiple files from this open menu, but it has a bug that introduces this weird HDR thing. Two things. The third thing is that you have... what was it? The third thing is that there's no way to open. You can see all these options here. There's no way to open from this menu. So once you're inside an app here, there's not really a way to open another file. You can place, which places it, but there's no way to open another file from this to effectively make another tab. You're pretty much just locked into what you have here until you go back to this menu, right? The Live Docs menu. So a third thing that's annoying. The fourth thing that's irritating is that there is not an obvious way when you click on like a flood tool, right? In this case, this one's already done. So let's click on this one, open it up, right? The white background, click on the one tool to get rid of it. And you'll see it has an outline. There's no obvious check mark. Now, right, you see on this part here, there's a check mark, right? There's a plus, apply, and a cancel. There is not, as you can see when I click this, there is not a plus or cancel anywhere along the space. Instead, what you have to do is click the bottom button here where it says delete, right? And you do that and it deletes it. Now that is somewhat obvious in terms of what the button does, but it is not obvious in terms of applying the thing, as the app has shown would be up here typically when you're trying to apply stuff. So, that makes sense. So that is the fourth thing. The fifth thing is the crop tool doesn't work at all. So if I open document and I open the larger one I have here, right, when we were trying to crop stuff, and I go to crop, it crops the entire document. Now, when your entire document is the thing you're importing, it's not that big of a deal. However, if we go ahead and try and shrink this a bit, open files, open Affinity, and then we try and import something. Let's just do this one. This is fine. All right, so we're going to drag it in. Got it. We can just move that away. Okay, so we have an image here I want to crop. This thing I want to have there. You can see now that it is background and a normal thing. I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to click crop and see what happens. So now instead of cropping the image I've selected and I'm currently on, it just crops the entire canvas. So there's no actual way to crop the image I've selected when you add multiple images to a file. So that is another annoying aspect. So basically that means for all intents and purposes, I can't use Affinity Photo for what I'm trying to do. All right, so let's go over to Affinity Designer, right? I have looked at it and I'm like, okay, Affinity Designer does appear to have that option. Oh, look, it does the same problem. Same bug where it HDRs all the images for some reason, which is irritating. It also, same thing, you can't import multiple files from it because it's using the same setup, same system. But let's try and do the thing we were trying to do before, right? Let's open this thing. It's not going to bug out for this one, interestingly. It's not going to make it HDR. And then we go to crop tool, and you can see it's doing the normal stuff, right? Let's do the thing here where we import the jacket. Import the jacket, right? And then let's see, can we crop the jacket? We can. See, we can crop the jacket, and that's independent of us cropping this thing, right? We can go back and we can crop this thing, and they are separate entities, and they don't interrupt each other. Look at that. Yep. And then there. Unfortunately, this is also a background now, so you can't move it, which is irritating, right? Even though it's not. Even though it's unlocked, there we go, we can move it, but as you see, it also moves the canvas here. And annoyingly, you know, there's not, you can resize the canvas. Here's another problem. Trying to resize the canvas, it defaults to this weird shit, so instead of trying to resize it like this, oh, you've gone to 256,000 pixels all of a sudden. And because this is not active at any point, you don't have a guide of figuring out where you need to move it or what happens. So that's irritating, right? There's just a lot of issues on both sides. On this side, you have the fact that you can crop it, but then you have no way to get rid of the white space behind it very easily, right? So it is more efficient in that rate, but then also you have issues like it doing the HDR thing again, right? So Affinity Designer doesn't work. So at this point, the only way for really me to do that on iPad here is to download an application like Darkroom or any other million photo apps and hope to God that it works like how you think it would. Otherwise, you just have to kind of like do it in photo each time and hope it doesn't bug out your image. So that's definitely my problem so far. Going on to something else where it's relating is, let's say you're working in Affinity Photo. Stage Manager here, which is the multitasking stuff for multitasking. Bring over files, it does this, it pops up a window. Okay, that's normal, that's fine. Click on this one, it does this. Okay, if I want to access the multi-view, right, which would be typically on the side here, right, and move the windows around. So I move the window around to like this. Okay, I want to move it to the right side, all right. It doesn't autofill, okay, fine. I am told that if I swipe over to that way and do it, it'll be fine, so let's do that. In this case, it worked, but let's do it again. Okay. All right, so it's a little more consistent this time, but as you see, I just did it there, and it didn't work at all. Now it works. Now it doesn't. Now it doesn't. Now it works. Whoops. Whoops. Yep. And then you resize it, right? But the problem with resizing, once again, is that we're in this photo, right? I'm clicking on the three buttons here that pop up. Like Mac, you would expect the one that says increase the size to full screen the application. It does not do that. It just removes files and puts it in here. Okay, maybe if I click it again. Nope, it puts it back. Maybe if I click it again. Nope. The only way to full screen the application, can't double tap it, that doesn't work. You have to drag on the corners on either side, which is very annoying and not good at all. The other thing that's irritating, and this is more iPadOS related now, is that trying to access this top bar, as you just saw there, is incredibly annoying. You're supposed to swipe from the top. Gets you a little bar here, right? Okay. Let's try that again. Have it go away. Okay, swipe from the top. Right, doing there, swipe from the top. All right, doing there, swipe from the top. Okay, so it's working every time now, which is shocking considering I did this 50 times in a row and it did not work at all. I usually get that. I usually get this like little button at the top. I think it might be a Procreate bug when I'm trying to do this, but every single time I get the Apple notification shade. Every time. Like, there's no way to access this menu here, this top menu where it shows up for 5 seconds. No way in Procreate to do that. It's just not happening, right? Like, it just does not work. No matter what you do, you double tap it, it doesn't work. Okay, so those are the current issues I've had with the software in terms of just things operating like they should be, and it's not a great sign in terms of what we're trying to do. Some things work a little better than others, but for the most part, the fact that when I do this in Procreate, for instance, it full screens the app, but when you saw the exact same thing happen in Affinity, it does not, right? So the way that these applications work is not consistent, right? Do this, it full screens. Prove it again. Back to you. It does not full screen, right? You just saw, I did the thing, right? I'm clicking it. It just moves it to the center for some reason and doesn't full screen. So the inconsistency of how the apps work is quite infuriating, both in things like Affinity Photo, where it's just like certain things like cropping don't work and opening multiple files at once and having this bug don't work, and stuff you'd expect doesn't. And then the multitasking for iPad stuff, the fact that you have to like drag each of these in and resize some of them, but you don't have to resize others, and the fact that this menu barely pops up in most of the apps, like it's just extremely inconsistent and extremely annoying. Couple of things I noticed here real quick about general iPad issues. So I have a trackpad keyboard case here attached to it, and as you can see, the mouse is moving at a pretty normal speed responsive to my clicks. That is not how it appears by default. I was trying to do this before and I couldn't find the setting, because if you go to where you think it should be to fix this under general and under trackpad, it is not there. There's not anything relating to acceleration. You have to go to accessibility. It is under pointer devices, under accessories, and then you have to turn off trackpad inertia. Allows the pointer to continue after you lift your finger. If I turn this on, you can see I'm going to do this. It's like on ice skates. See, I'm just lightly moving it this way and that way, and it's zip zap zooming around. Turning off trackpad inertia makes it work like a normal mouse. This is hidden under accessibility, trackpad, and mouse, which is not, for some reason, whatever reason, it's not under the normal trackpad settings. So that's one of the things I noticed. The other thing I noticed, and I have a video for this, is at some point, as you can see here, the YouTube app has bugged. So my subscription page, it's being hidden by the player here, but the subscription page here had one gigantic thumbnail, as you can see on the screen, per video that I was doing here, and this did not fix itself when I was redoing anything, and it made it look awful, right? It had the title and everything, but it was one gigantic thumbnail, and this was the default experience for a couple days when I was trying to use YouTube. So while I did focus a lot on specific apps like Affinity and Procreate and things like that, I'm doing that because these are iPad apps, right? Procreate is an iPad app. Affinity stuff is for iPad. These are iPad apps. The YouTube app is the designed one for iPad. So these are not just like, oh, specific app problems, even though they are. They're like, when you're using an iPad, you are going to be using these apps. And if they have problems like I've showcased, that hurts your experience to be able to use it, right? Obviously, there's things like, you know, how you know, files works and how other things work that are annoying. But the general fact of the matter is, compared to, let's say, even just a phone, right, the multitasking window of this is more annoying. And so when you have to deal with things like apps that you expect to work one way not working, it becomes quite irritating, right? It's not just, oh, there's a problem with Affinity Photo. It's there's a problem with the Premiere photo editing app on iPad, and the Premiere graphic design app on iPad, and the Premiere drawing app on iPad, and whatever have you, right? So the reason I focused on specific programs is because it showcases oftentimes how broken iPadOS is, right? Because the things for iPad, the things designed for iPad don't work how they should.